This world can be a dark, lonely place. It's easy to lose your way. The light from your dreams becomes harder to chase. The words won't come, you don't know what to say. When we come together, the storms we can weather. Don't let go of me, we'll get through this, you'll see. Like pictures from the past, we were meant to last. There's nothing we can't do when we come together. United we stand, divided we fall. This is the battle cry that unites us all. Come with me, let's show what we can do. We can't do it without you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome in, welcome in. Welcome to Conversations with Christy. I am so excited that you guys are here. Hello, Victor. Hello, Teresa, Wounds to Wisdom. And I want to make sure, Bat Mom, is your name Tessa or Teresa? Because I thought I read Tessa, and then I think everybody was saying Teresa, and I want to use your right name. So let me know what your correct name is so I can use that. I am so glad that you guys are here. Karina and I were talking before we get started on everything. We are both so excited about this because this is so different for us than the tarot class. This is it's so much more personal, I think, because it's representative of our healing journeys and everything else. Tessa. Okay, I thought that's what it was. I wanted to make sure. And Crystal, hello. So glad you're here. So we are just like really excited. And before we get started, I wanted to point out to you guys, can you see my sign? It says, I'm just here to establish an alibi. Michael found that at Hobby Lobby yesterday, and he's like, should we get it? I said, yes. And you have to put it right there so everybody can see it. He's like, that makes no sense. I said, it will when you see me on camera. So I showed him, and he's like, oh, yeah, that's good. Amber is here. Amber, hello. Okay, so one thing before we get started, I don't know if all of you knew or not. Okay, my hair, I just got a haircut. I don't know, it's doing its own thing.
Wild and free.
I know. I feel like I'm
Great.
in my I feel like I'm in my 70s, 80s like rock star
Rocker.
era.
Yeah.
You know,
You're killing that look.
Oh right, I was drying it earlier, and my hair was like and I like looked like Nikki Sixx. Like, oh wow. So I've got that whole thing going on. Before we get into all of this, on a more serious note, a very dear friend of the channel, Jimena, she is traveling today. Her dad is needing surgery. I'm not sure like how serious it is or isn't. So if throughout the day, if you feel called, if you could just send some good energy to her family, her dad, the medical team that's going to be performing the surgery. Again, I don't know much. She's in Mexico, so just if you could send some of that out to her, I know she would appreciate it. And it's okay that I mentioned that because she mentioned it on her channel. So I'm not, like sharing secrets or anything here. Hairband vibes, but it looks good. It is totally. I feel almost like Steve Perry from Journey. Like the lead singer. I got the nose. I actually play guitar. I play guitar. I have a pink, which is the one I kept. I had a Les Paul, and I had a Reverend, and this one is, I can't remember what it is. But anyway.
Stratocaster, Fender.
No, it was
Okay.
starts with a D, I think. I don't know. Anyway, it was just
Okay.
really cool when I bought it, and I was like, I didn't really care what it was. And then my uncle like took a look at it and he goes, "This is the best guitar ever." He's like, "Did you know how to pick that?" I'm like, "It was pink and it was pretty. That's how I pick it. I don't know." It worked. Okay. So on to what we're here for today. Get to the point, Christy. Victor says, I'm very good with the air guitar. Yes. When all else fails, play the air guitar. Air drums, you know. I did not know that because you were so really, yeah, like the
Mm.
first song I learned how to play, of course, was Nirvana, Come As You Are, because Nirvana is pretty easy. It's just a few different
Mhm.
chords. It's not complicated. I was
I
like, here
love
we go.
that.
All right, so on to the important things. Otherwise, we'll spend 4 hours talking about crazy stuff and not get to the point. So we are here to launch Meet Me at the Crossroads, the Healing Circle. And you guys, this is, and Karina, feel free to chime in here. This is a very different healing circle than what I've ever even experienced. A lot of the healing circles that I have been invited to or participated in have been women only healing circles. And this is open to men and women. And they've been a lot more witchy, I think, too, than this one is. I mean, there's
Mhm.
definitely been a lot of working with goddesses. And guys, don't get me, I love me a good deity, but it's been kind of those like Hecate or Lilith or like those kind of darker goddesses that can be a little intimidating. And so the healing circles, although were powerful, were not really what Karina and I wanted to bring to this. And so this is really unique, and they've all been recorded so that you
Mm.
could access them later. So this is very different because it's not going to be recorded. So
Mhm.
these sessions that we're doing, these once a month sessions, are they're not recorded, so you're there for it. We wanted people to be very in the moment with
Mhm.
this and not worry about oh, this is going to be recorded for later or not. We how do I want to say this? We wanted people to be able to take what resonated with them in that moment because that's what they needed to hear and to be able to really do that. And this is very earth based as well. So it's a lot of connection, working with the elements, and then moving on. So everything builds on itself, but you don't have to be there from the start. So and it was not this when we started. And I will be honest,
Mhm.
guys, I flubbed it up. So, I mean, I was like, oh, yeah, let's go here. And I like jumped off this cliff way deep into it. And it didn't feel right. It didn't
Mhm.
feel right in my body. It didn't feel right. It, I know it didn't feel right for Karina because it was the first time we'd ever gotten on a Zoom call and we're like,
Yeah.
and it wasn't
Yeah.
really great. Um, so Karina, did you have anything before I read this intro that I wrote that you wanted to add?
Yeah,
Because
I
we
think
talked a
maybe
lot.
just to build on what you are saying, um, healing it's such an individual journey for each
Mhm,
person. And more than ever, there are so many things happening in our world. We had the COVID lockdown. It gave all of
mhm,
us a lot of alone time, maybe more than we wanted, to really look at ourselves, process what our life was, process what we want it to be. And so I think, and then we've talked a lot. I've talked a lot about the outer planets all changing signs in the past year. As we are trying to do this reflection, all the energies are shifting. And this is just a time where the opportunity to change and to heal is so ripe. The energy does not always support this level of cataclysmic healing. Um,
mhm,
and transformation. And so we really wanted and I think, Christy, you and I were talking before the call, you and I have both had a lot of healing experiences over the past year and have really been doing a lot of inner work. And we wanted to facilitate a place where people can do that in a place that feels safe. So not working with crazy energies that are intense or, going to scare people, but really in a gentle, loving, supportive environment. And yes, that is in the moment. I think one sort of underrated piece of healing is community and is connection with each other. And I'm not sure that people can very effectively heal only by themselves. I think there's something we get from really lifting each other up and providing energy and support for each other. And so this is where we wanted it to be live. Because we wanted everybody's energy in there. We wanted everybody to be sending good vibes to each other and supporting each other. And yeah, I think we really wrestled with that. How do we make this personal in the way that a healing journey needs to be personal, while at the same time creating a community around this shared healing, knowing that people will be at different points in the healing journey, working on different things, will want to be healing at different levels. So a lot of this has been tricky to think about, and some of this I also think will play out organically. I think with healing, you and I have kind of laid out a rough schedule, Christy, but healing happens as healing happens. And I think our hope is that this flows and changes and transforms via the community, via the people who are involved in working and supporting each other, so that it can become something better and greater and more powerful than it could be if it was just Christie's and my brainchild, that we had fully planned out bullet point all the way to the end.
Right. And Trista, go ahead and write your questions down. We want to answer those. Teresa, I'm glad that Karina was able to explain it better. Guys, my mind, I've been thinking about this so much today that I think it's like 10 steps ahead. So if I lose any of you, just be like, whoa, slip back up, chick, slow down. And I it's important to say too, the healing circle is not going to be on this channel. We are actually going to do it, I think, via Zoom. We're not going to be doing it on the internet. So we will talk about the topics. We'll introduce those topics here on the channel, and then we'll delve deeper into them in the healing circle. So if you aren't able to join it at this time, or whatever that might look like for you, you're still not going to get lost. You will still get the benefit of like some of that basic knowledge, but this is really designed to meet you where you're at and allow you to have your own healing journey. So with that, I'm going to read this because I'm not going to lie, you guys. This was like a 9-minute voice clip that I sent because, again, my brain, like when it starts going, it's like it just clicks and it goes so fast that I have to get all of my thoughts out. And sometimes that's writing it down, sometimes that's a voice clip, and then I have to go back and find it. So I'm going to be reading this, but I think this is going to help a lot. So you guys, welcome to the Meet Me at the Crossroads Healing Circle. This has been a continuous labor of love for Karina and I, and its first incarnation wasn't this, and it didn't feel resonant, but we changed it into something that we hope is helpful and beneficial for everybody here. Whether you're joining us on the channel or in the actual healing group. Healing is not about getting rid of the parts of you that you don't like or don't understand. Healing is integrating it and bringing it into our awareness so we can manage it. This is about becoming a whole person and not staying a fractured person. It's about us not having a collection of masks that we wear in various places, but it's learning what's behind that. What's the archetype behind the mask? What's the person behind the mask? What behind that needs to be healed? Um, and I remember I had this epiphany, and I was I was watching Highway to Heaven, and I love to watch rerun shows. So Andy Griffith, Highway to Heaven, all of those shows. I'm a rerun gal. And this one particular show really stood out to me, and I got really excited because I was like, oh my gosh, this could be something we could do on the channel. So I sent a text message over to Karina, and Karina's like, yes, this is was it interfamily
Oh,
structure?
internal family systems,
It's
IFS.
internal family system. Yes. And so I had never heard of that. And so I was like, what is this? So I started looking into it. And and I was like, well, Karina's smart, so she knows this. I mean, it's got to be a good way to go. So we're going to go down this. And I found a TED Talk, and it was talking about healing and bringing that healing into connection and into the light and awareness. And it's not about removing this, but it's about
Mhm.
integrating this. It is who we are. And I wanted to give an example of my own personal thing. I have a really bad temper. And in my most unhealed phase, my temper traumatized people that I did not, Ben, hello, that I did not mean to do. But at the moment, I didn't understand what I was doing. And so it came off as abusive, and it
Mhm.
hurt other people. And I had to learn the side effects of that and to bring it into the light so that I could understand how, my temper in one situation might be beneficial, but in another, it's going to be very harmful. And I had to learn how to control it. And it was really hard when people you love say, you traumatized me or hurt me in this way. And it causes you to pause and reflect. And I want to say here that this healing circle is not designed to be a trauma Olympics. It's not who has the most trauma gets some sort of an award. Everyone's trauma is real, and everyone's trauma is important, and it's important to them. And just because it doesn't look the same doesn't mean that it's not important or that it doesn't need healed. And we aren't going to spend a lot of time in this looking backward. We're going to spend time reflecting. But we know where we were, and we know what happened. And we're here to integrate that and heal that. And we're all here for a reason. And if you choose to go on this deeper journey with us, it's going to be because something inside of you is like, you know what, I really want to heal on that level. um and so we are going to spend most of our time looking forward and working together to integrate into a more whole version of ourselves. There's no benefit in beating ourselves up or feeling bad that we have had these experiences. Um, and just remember that it's about bringing them into the light so we can have a better understanding. And I also want to say, like, look for creative ways to heal. We're going to encourage this as well.
Mhm.
And be open minded. So it's not just journaling. Does a TV show, trigger something in you to heal? A song, nature, books, all of these things. This is going to be, we're going to give you a lot of different tools on how to integrate these, from meditation and journaling and all of the typical things that you think of, but also the more creative ones as well. And look for things that speak to you personally. I think another thing that's important to mention is Karina and I are facilitators. And this is really important. And I think Karina and I both agree on this. No one
Mhm.
on this earth has all of the answers, and no one has all of your answers. You
Mhm.
are the only one who has those answers. And Karina and I can make suggestions and give you journal prompts and show you the tools, but your answers are found within yourself. And those are the most important answers. So we're here to encourage you to find your own answers inside of yourself. So, we'll offer guidance, but really at the end of the day, it's what is it for you? Because what it is for me
Mhm.
and what it is for Karina are two very different things than what it might be for you. And the point is
Mhm.
for you to heal where you're at and where you're ready. We are going to encourage you to trust your intuition, to find those answers, and we want to encourage you to participate. We are not only teachers, we are students. Each one of you is a student, and each one is a teacher. So get involved and take it seriously. Look deep, share what you are willing to share. It allows Karina and I to be students as well. The more involved and the more you are willing to put in the time for yourself, and the more you might have a perspective that we don't have. So, with you doing your healing and your journey and the way that you see things could be a way that we've never thought to see things. So this isn't just about you guys sitting at our feet learning this. This is about we are here to learn from you too. And as
Mhm.
I don't really like the word teacher, but as a teacher, as a guide, as a facilitator, a lot of times people come to you for a lot of answers, and it can be hard to grow because you're
Yeah.
always kind of giving the answers and you're kind of in this spot of, okay, and when it does come your time to grow, sometimes we have to step back and it looks very different. So this is really for me a very exciting time to get
Mhm.
to learn from you guys as well. Because Karina and I are both on very deep, impactful healing journeys. Um, and so, uh, okay, I did that. Hold on. The level of healing is completely up to you. You might just dip your toe in, or you might jump off the cliff and see, the depths of where you would go. Whatever level you bring is amazing, and Karina and I are here to meet you wherever you are at, to help you navigate these healing waters that is your soul journey. And that's why it's important to understand this is a safe space. And we
Mhm.
honor this because only when we feel safe are we able to honor ourselves and grow. It's not just about Karina and me and you, but it's about the whole group. It's not just your journey, but the journey of everyone. So when you show up prepared and you are vulnerable and you, that helps. Oh, wait, hold on. I wrote this so fast. I don't know. You are not only just helping yourself to raise your vibration and to heal you, you are helping us. So I just wanted to personally thank you guys for showing up to teach me things that you are here to teach me. We
Mhm.
are all here to support each other and to be here on our healing journey. And so that's what I wanted to say. I wrote it down. That was very long. Karina, you now have the floor to say whatever.
Well, that was lovely. And yes, I definitely want to reiterate what Christy said about we aren't we aren't these, big gurus who have all of the answers. We are on our healing journeys as well. And again, each person's healing journey is so unique. So yeah, we really are viewing ourselves more as facilitators in this space. And also kind of reiterating what Christy said, yeah, there won't be a big looking back component. And we won't be asking people to detail out their traumas or anything like that. So please don't feel like you need to show up and just tell everybody all about the worst things that have happened to you. Um, this is meant to, as Christy said, only go as deep as you want to. Some people
Mhm.
may want to deal with, I always lose my temper in certain ways, like Christy, you mentioned temper earlier, or other people may want to go really, really deep. But wherever you are, if you are looking at yourself and you feel like there are responses and behaviors in you that just you don't want them there, you don't feel like they serve you, and you want to be able to move past them, whatever they are and whatever they originated with, whether it was in this life or another life, That's sort of what this circle is designed for. Um, and yeah, there's sort of an element too of this being in the moment, not being recorded.
Mhm.
Um, healing, um, it almost seemed a little bit just incorrect to me to record healing. It
Yeah.
just, um, it felt like it needs its snapshot in time where it can exist. Those who participated remember and take away whatever was important to them, whatever they journaled
Yeah.
and felt resonant, and anything else can just dissolve into, the nothingness of time. And there was something about that that seemed better than people reviewing the recording and thinking, oh, I should do something with this piece. I should do something with this piece. No, not necessarily. We each are going to take away what is most resonant for us. And we do plan to offer a lot of tools. And again, some of those you may try and be like, and others you may try and really love. And some you may try and they might not feel right now, but in a year, maybe you'll feel called to try them again. So we're really kind of counting on our intention and your collective intentions to drive what you get out of this. Things will return to your mind from the discussions at the right time, in the right way for you. And yeah, I think there's also an element of this circle won't be right for everyone. If you are in a
Yeah.
place right now where you are feeling flooded in life
Mhm.
and you're like, I am just surviving right now. I am not in a place to be trying to heal. I'm still being actively wounded. I am not ready to heal yet. Please check in with your intuition. This is not
Mhm.
us saying this is going to be perfect for every person in every situation. This is more if you feel called, if you sit, meditate, and reflect on your experience. Are there areas of your body that feel tight, tense? Are there areas where you feel fear or anger or dread? If you feel things in your body and in your emotional space and you feel like, I don't want to feel that anymore, great. Let's work towards that together as a
Yeah.
community. If not, and you either feel like, I can't think of anything. There are definitely people I know in my life where they would be like, I can't think of anything I need to work on. That's probably not fully true, but they are not going to be
Right.
able to think of anything. The circle is not for those people, or for the people who feel like they're just working to keep their head afloat right now, not trying to do a bunch of deep work. Deep work does require so much energy, so much commitment. Some of those healing waves come at inopportune times, and you just, maybe you're at the grocery store and you're like, this is not a great time to start crying, and yet here we are. So evaluate with yourself, really reflect with yourself. Is this something I sort of want to sign up for or not? And then the last piece I'll say on that, this is not a substitution for therapy. Christy and I are not certified as therapists in any way. This is meant to be a community of supportive members where we share tools that we know of, share books that can be read, practices, and just sort of share the emotions and things that are coming up for us, things that are helping us, things that are blocking us. But for sure, if you are, thinking about therapy, this is not a substitution for that. I always recommend, if people have the resources, to talk to a qualified professional to work through things as well. That can just be incredibly helpful. And there would be the place to actually detail out some of your traumas if that is something you feel comfortable doing. Whereas again, this space will be focused on where we are and how to
Mhm.
go forward, healing from where we are, but won't be um, backward looking as far as what we've been through.
Right, right. And I love that you called that out too. There are certain things where, you definitely therapy is a very good choice for you. And this is just like a nice little like you said, community place. And I want to touch on community. It's one of the first things that we're going to talk about.
Mhm.
is community, and then we're going to go into the elements, or at least that's the plan, how to heal using air, fire, earth, and water, and how people of those particular zodiac signs might be able to help us heal in some ways, like
Mhm.
what they look like. But community can be tricky, because some of us have come out of communities that were a little tricky. And that's not the community that we're wanting to build here. We're wanting to
Mhm.
build a safe, beautiful space, that is not one person in charge of everybody else, but everybody
Mhm.
really like making it a tribe. So this really is a new idea. Like it is a new thing, because like I said, a lot of the ones I've been to, men hadn't been invited to it, and it had just been very different. And I think some of the things that I'm excited to talk about are archetypes, like how those archetypes can help us to heal and understand, and but very getting very connected to the elements, because Karina and I both feel that, yeah, and we talked about this, is that, working with what we have here on this earth is really important,
Mhm.
and using that to help facilitate healing. Um, I don't know, it feels very
Yeah.
organic and very natural. It's a very natural approach, kind of like
Yeah.
healing circle.
I
Um,
agree with that so much, Christy. And just building on top of that really quickly before we change the subject, I think what
yeah,
felt so key about the elements to you and me, there for sure are like other dimensions, and there's some
oh yeah,
57th dimension somewhere where there might be, I don't know, 57
right,
new elements. Who even knows? But it feels like, for however this cosmically worked out on this earth, in this plane, we sort of have these four building blocks, that we are made out of, that we can work with. And so
right,
we were looking at how do we use the tools in this earth to facilitate our earthly healing, with the idea that that sort of raises up to our spiritual healing. So it's sort of starting from the base of these four elements and building upward.
yeah, yeah, and I that just feels so, I feel like when we can connect with that base, that planet, that planetary, I lost my train of thought, guys.
No, I think I know where you were going with that. It's sort of, as you're thinking about planets, the zodiac, astrology, certainly some of us resonate with more elements more than others. I might resonate more with earth as an earth sign. Christy might resonate more with air as an air sign. But it's
Mhm,
really interesting to see both how the elements you are familiar with, how you can work with
mhm,
them for healing, but also
mhm,
to step outside of your comfort zone and work with some
right,
other energies that are not your norm. Um,
yeah,
Fire is a great example where I have worked with candles a little. I have very little fire in my astrology.
mhm,
But I even have a lot of logistical problems with candles. I
right,
can't keep them lit, they burn out, the wick burns. I just have all these problems with candles. And I also have a cat who has sinus problems. So if
oh,
the candle makes too much smoke, it bothers the
right,
cat. And it's been really interesting to see how, yes, I do not have much fire in my astrological chart, but and even basic things like my skin is super light. I get sunburned really easily. So even, being in the fire of the sun can be tricky for me. But I've had some experiences over the past few months where I've been able to really integrate fire as part of my healing journey in uh, a more profound way. And it sort of
mhm,
changes the dynamic from, oh, I just don't really do fire, to, oh, I work with it, but I have to work with it in a different way. It's not like
right,
working with a close friend the way me working with earth energy is. That is just me working with a close friend, and we get
right,
each other. Working with fire feels much more like having a conversation with someone you disagree with, but who is smart and well meaning and deeply
Mhm.
spiritual. And you learn things, but you sort of have to reorient yourself to see from a different perspective. And that also is important for the healing journey. We can't only lean on our comfortable tools. All of us,
Right.
in some way, are made up of all four of the elements. We have the water of our blood and our sweat and our tears, and
Mhm.
we have the physical earthly body of our bones and our muscles, and we have the breath of life, the inhalation and the oxygen, and we have the spark of divine fire and creativity and the life force that kind of invigorates all of us. So since we're made up of all four of those elements, we for a complete healing journey, wherever that takes us, it feels important to incorporate all those, the ones we are most familiar with, and learning how to work with the ones we are less familiar with.
Well, and I love that you mentioned that. So here's something funny. So, not funny, haha. And then, Todd, I am going to get to your question because that's a good question. Actually, let me stick this up here so it's right in front of me so I don't forget to answer it. Um, so I love to work with candles and fire. And so Karina and I were very big about like, we're like, okay, we're going to set an intention. We're going to do something very intentful um, to create um, a direction that we want to go that is very mindful and thoughtful and feels resonant. And so I created and I didn't know this, I created a candle magic kind of thing. Not really magic, but just like anointing a candle. I don't want you to think magic like
Mm.
hoodoo voodoo stuff, just, this beautiful thing. And so I sent it over to Karina and I didn't even think about not really working with fire, but it's that kind of thing too. Even just
Mhm.
between Karina and I, how we feel comfortable working in the elements and what that does. And working with fire is very resonant for me. So,
Mhm.
it didn't even, and again, this is where it's really good, it didn't even enter my mind to be like, oh, well, this might not be so resonant. I was just like, oh, this is what Um, and okay, so
Well, you are
archetypes,
a Sagittarius rising, which is, fiery.
right? Well, that's true. There we go. Okay, so Ben, there's the answer to the fiery redhead part right there. Sag rising. Okay, so Todd, archetypes. Not really Greek god archetypes or choose your pantheon. No, not so much that as far as like the orphan, like what for me, the orphan archetype has come out a lot recently. It was something that I did not resonate with at all. I was like, I don't have a wounded child. Like my kid isn't broken, like inside me personally. But I'm finding that it really is. And it's not so much the wounded child because to me, the people that I personally, this is not like canon truth here, but the people that I tend to kind of see more as the wounded child have had those really difficult childhoods, and that wasn't me, and I didn't resonate with that. But the orphan I did because the orphan was about abandonment. It was about not feeling seen and not feeling heard. And so it's those type of personal archetypes that come up. So I mean, it could be depending on how you particularly practice, like maybe you do tap into Hecate or Lilith or something like that, but that's not what we're going to be focusing on. It's going to be um, your hero journey, your warrior archetype, your orphan, maybe your wounded child, maybe the victim. I found myself full on in the victim archetype not too long ago, and I was happy to sit there but then it's like, okay, this isn't where I want to be. So it's more, I would say like the Carolyn Miss meets Carl
Mhm.
Jung type archetypes of like personal, what does it look like for you, kind of holy witness type things. So it's not going to be so much of that as it is, again, like your soul's archetype. Did that help to answer that question, Todd? Did that answer that well for you? And that's not to say that, we might not have, um, some of the other, like somebody ask a question, like I see Trista's in here, Witchy Trista, so she might have a question about, what would this particular archetype look like? And that's totally fine, but it's more focused on our personas and our like our inter archetypes. Um, did did I answer that? It made sense in my head.
It made sense to me, but I already knew where you were going, so I don't think I count.
Right.
So we'll see if anybody else weighs in. I think, one thing that's interesting to us, again, with the elements and with the archetypes, is there are some elements of all of the archetypes in all of us as well. There,
Yeah.
and they might show up at certain periods in our lives. For example, we might not always embody the victim archetype, but for sure, there are times when all of us have felt like a victim.
Yeah.
And we may not always feel the orphan archetype, but sometimes we all feel
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
abandoned feeling of that archetype. So
Yeah.
again, I think one thing that's interesting, as humans, we almost tend to want to put ourselves and others in categories. And I see this even
Mhm.
with astrology all the time. We tend to identify, oh, I'm an Aquarius, I'm a Taurus, I'm a Virgo. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm such a Virgo. I do this thing that's so Virgo. I'm such a Sagittarius.
Right.
And while, of course, that is true, and we do not possess all of the qualities of all of the zodiac signs in
Mhm.
equal amounts,
Mhm.
we like all of us has some Sagittarian
Yeah.
energy in us and some Scorpio energy and some of all of the energies. And we tend to want to oversimplify and say, oh, I'm an earth person, I'm a fire person, or I'm
Mhm.
a Sagittarius, I'm a Libra, or, I am a victim, or I am a, I'm thinking of some of the other archetypes like the prostitute or the orphan.
Yeah.
We tend to want to oversimplify ourselves. And I think from
Mhm.
a healing perspective, that just doesn't serve, because
Right.
healing, it touches every facet of us and every layer. And if we're only really acknowledging certain layers,
Mhm.
it doesn't feel like there's a healing possibility. If you're kind of acknowledging 3 layers and you're like, okay, so we're going to
Right.
heal those, I know about those,
Right.
but then there's 8
Right.
other layers that we are not acknowledging are even part of us. How can we heal those? So I think
Yeah.
that's one thing too that felt different to me about this journey. We're not trying to present, the archetypes, the elements, anything with astrology, so that we can all go categorize ourselves into buckets. We're really
Right.
trying to see and deeply reflect on the ways each one of these we embody in some way.
Right.
I may not be a Sagittarius in any other way. I may not have any planets there, but in what ways do I relate to that archetype? In what ways have I made
Yeah.
decisions or lived out particular phases in life or situations where I absolutely have picked up the bow and arrow of the Sagittarius hunter, and
Right.
gone after creating what I want. And so I think, yeah, that's something sort of, I think, different about our circle too. This is not
Yeah.
meant to categorize and differentiate. This is the opposite. This is about integrating, not de-integrating.
Right. Right. And Todd, you had a question. Can a water sign be a fire sign too? Yes, my husband's a great example of that. He's a, you mean,
Oh,
well, wait,
different
like,
planets can be in
yeah,
different,
yeah.
yeah.
So
But a
he's
water
a,
sign can contain planets
oh,
in
right.
fire signs. Yes.
Right, right. Yeah, because like my husband is he's a Scorpio sun sign and he's an Aries moon. So, that's how that can work. Um, but going back to the archetypes, where that has helped me is to be able to understand where other people are, because there are shadow sides of those too. And sometimes in our healing journey, and especially with me, there are apologies I'm never going to get. There are conversations I will never be able to have, either because that person is gone and I can't have them, or that person doesn't understand what it is that they did. Like, it's just not um it's not an option. And so when I can see them as an archetype, when I can be like, okay, this is what they're embodying at this moment, or what they've embodied throughout my lifetime, how I've resonated with them, it has helped me to heal. Because for me, when I can understand that and understand that energy, I'm able to then, you know, um, understand it on a broader um, in a broader way. And but so for me, that would be like that deeper level that we're talking about. Whereas, maybe it's just for Karina, hey, I'm kind of embodying this particular archetype right now, so I understand that. And when I'm ready, I'm going to explore that a little deeper. But that's just kind of what I am. And that's what I love about this too, is that it's able to you can just dip a little toe in, or you can go all in, and it's entirely up to you what you feel comfortable with, and where you're at. um I want to see, am I
Totally
missing
agree with that.
anything?
And I think one thing I sort of just want to call out too,
Yeah.
frequently when I've been in these sorts of circles or meetings, um, it's very tempting for us to see the way other people in our life need to heal. For example, we
Yeah.
might look at the victim archetype and be like, oh, that is so my partner, my mother, my whatever. Um, and while that may be completely true, this circle is going to be very focused on each one of us and our healing. So, unfortunately, even though it feels super good to kind of feel self justified and looking at all of the
Yeah.
ways all of the people in our life need to heal, um,
Right.
this is not going to be a place where we can have that self justified feeling. This is going to be a place where we are very honestly and realistically looking at us.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, again, this sort of comes back to this circle won't necessarily be for everyone. If you honestly
Right.
look at yourself and for whatever reason, whatever is going on in your life, your heart, your emotional space right now, if you feel like, you are not in a place where you can honestly and reflectively look at yourself, this might just not be for you, at least right now. You could always join in the future if you feel like you're in a different place. Um, and healing, even if we only are doing some surface level healing, even if it is something as simple as, well, I lose my temper a lot, too much, and then I say things I regret, and I don't want to be that person anymore. um, that's relatively surface level compared to some of the depths at which healing could take place, but even that is not trivial.
Right.
We have these habits built in, we have these defense mechanisms built in. Um, and so there really is an honest, reflective, nothing about this is easy. Nothing about healing is easy. It is often painful. We will not ask anybody, you all will choose the depth of your own healing.
Right.
But
Mhm.
regardless, this isn't going to feel like a walk in the park through daisies under the bright sunshine. Now,
It,
when each of us hit some milestones of healing, or feel like we have some breakthroughs, or we saw a change in our behavior or our emotional body, that can feel so rewarding and amazing. But yeah, this is really about the journey, and it's not designed to be a, you know, happy kumbaya in a circle kind of journey. It really is designed
okay.
for, we're all facing some difficult parts of
Mhm.
ourselves at whatever
Mhm.
depth we want to face, and
Mhm.
looking to heal those and change and transform. We've talked so much about the transformative power of all of these outer planets changing signs and moving
Yeah.
from yin passive signs to yang more active signs. The time
Mhm.
to take action and really transform, the energy is so strong to support that now. It isn't always. Sometimes we really have to fight inertia to change,
Mhm.
and the energy is so strong now just to allow us to radically transform. So we want to sort of harness that energy for ourselves and our healing journeys, and for anyone who wants to sort of come along on that journey. Um, but yeah, it's not specifically a feel good circle, nor is it a
Right.
specifically feel bad circle, just to be clear. But the
Right, right,
kinds of things we're working to facilitate are difficult things.
right, right. And it's I wanted to Richard says don't project. Yeah, you're most likely
Mm,
wrong anyway. One of the best reasons for the platinum rule. And it is easy for us to project because what we're
so
doing is
easy.
we're deflecting. We're like,
Deflecting.
well,
Don't look in
I'm
the mirror. Yeah.
right, right, exactly. Like, well, that was messed up. That's not my fault. That's not on me, but I'm gonna go, march my happy little self over there and tell them how to heal. Now, don't get me wrong. I have been that person. So it's
We
not like
all have
I've
been
not
that
ever
person.
been that person. I've been like, sit down and let me
Right.
tell you what for. When really it's like when my dad said he never pointed at anybody because you got three fingers pointing back at you. So if you're really pointing at somebody like and I tell you what, that look in the mirror is hard. And
Mhm.
there have been some very real times where I have very much had to look in the mirror and see parts of me that I never wanted to see. And I didn't know existed. And there's even like, I mean, you guys know I got a pile of kids. You kind of think, oh, you're gonna affect your kid negatively in some way. Like, no one's a perfect parent. We're all gonna kind of traumatize our kids. But when your kid sets you down and is like, this is it, and it's to the core of who you are, that's a different thing. And that's kind of what, you know, um, the healing that, has been going on, for Karina and I. And Karina's is not around children. I'm not putting that into there, but it's that very uncomfortable kind of thing. And so yes, projecting is um, that's tricky. Todd says, try not to be a victim for the first time in my life. Good for you. Kind of in limbo right now.
Mm.
Don't know where I'm gonna land. You know, um, Stepping out of the victim archetype energy is really one of the hardest things to step out of. Truthfully, for me, it was very hard because it is a very comfortable, easy energy to sit in because you don't have to do anything. Like everybody's taking care of you. And Todd, I'm not saying this is you, I'm saying this was my experience. Everyone's taking care of you and you don't have to do anything. For me, that was really hard. So I admire that you are working on stepping out of that energy because that is a big energy and you're right, it is scary. It's exciting and it's scary. And so I want to honor you in that. Um, and Tessa says, I want to know who I am, what I stand for, to love myself and to be happy with going through my toxicity that's inside of me. Yeah, you know?
And I think all of this is so powerful, what people are
Yes.
saying as well, because there is, going back to trying not to be a victim. Um,
Yeah.
with any role, whether it's the victim or a different role that we have internalized for so
Mhm.
long, even if it isn't serving us, there's still, we want to hold on to what we know. And in
Right.
some ways, there's almost, it is, that role is not part of ourselves, part of our souls, but it feels like it is because it's been with us for so long. And it can almost feel like a form of death, letting
Mhm.
that part go. And there is that sense, as they call out, kind of in limbo right now, don't know where I'm
Right.
going to land. There's that sense of, if I've let this part of myself, what I thought was myself, go, where am
Mhm.
I and who am I and what fills that empty place? If I'm not
Right.
the victim, what is there? And so, yeah, and I think that is so much of the healing journey. I just think about the caterpillar that forms into the butterfly,
Uh-huh.
and it basically goes into its cocoon and it dissolves into goo. Like, for
Mhm.
real, look it up, people. It
Mhm.
dissolves into goo. and reforms as a butterfly and then breaks out. But that in between time, you're like, well, I'm not a caterpillar anymore, nor
Yes,
am I anything else. And that is
right.
a very disorienting, unstabilizing
Mhm,
place to be. And
mhm.
so, yeah, again, if people are working through this and have a therapist, that can be incredibly helpful for
Yeah,
talking through this.
yeah.
Um, uh, but yeah, it's so true. I think this is another almost maybe even one of the most difficult parts of the healing journey is we're letting go of things that felt like us. Even if they
Mhm.
weren't great, even if they were toxic, even if, they were defense mechanisms, they've been with us long enough that they feel like us. And so it does
Yeah.
feel like that form of death and what fills this void.
One of the things that I've learned from listening to, I'm really into, and Karina, you know this, like Carl Jung right now, and Gabor Mate
Mhm,
and Chase Hughes, and I'm really into the mindset and the brain and the everything about it. And one of the things that I've heard, and I found in my own personal story, it's so true. When the old version of you dies, it sheds off. You have to find new passions. You have to find a new understanding. You have to find that higher purpose. And um, it's not everybody talks about like ascending and leveling up, and it's it's not as easy as like trading in a car. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna go trade in, this particular
for a
version,
Corvette, right.
right, right. I'm gonna trade in my
Mhm,
Pinto and I'm gonna drive off the lot with the vet, rock on. Yeah. I mean, that's not how it works, and so I want to be encouraging to you, Todd, because I've
mhm,
known you for a while and I've known the struggles that you've shared, in various communities. And anybody else out there, it's you really are stepping out of your comfort zone. So don't give up on that. Don't give up
mhm,
on you. I love this. I know a lot of people don't really like Nickelback, but it is like the best line ever. Don't take the free ride in your own life. Like you get nothing
mm,
from cheating yourself. If you cheat yourself, the only person that you hurt is you. Like you don't get that experience. And those experiences are hard. They are really hard. And they're not fun and they're not easy and they're confusing and you don't know what's going on. Um, but even just showing up and listening and sharing and everything like that is really important, you know? And so to all of us, like there's going to come that point where who you were doesn't exist anymore. And so now, who are you? And now, where are you going?
mhm,
And honestly, it can be very scary,
mhm,
as you step into some of those roles. Like, I've never done this before, you know,
mhm,
uh, helping people, guiding people, teaching people. I mean, I was the first one to be like, I'm not a teacher. I'm not a teacher. I am not a teacher. Well, I am a teacher. So I have to learn how to be good at it. I can't
mm,
anymore. Like, I am to the point in this journey where I do not get the option of being like, I'm out. No, you know what? So I have to learn, what does it mean to be a good teacher? And because it was a path I fought for a long time, and finally I'm like, okay,
mm.
I don't get to fight it anymore. And here we are. So
And sorry, go ahead.
no, I just, yeah, like I don't get to fight it.
Yeah. Well, I love you in that role as a teacher personally, and I'm glad you found your way there. I think when you talked about sort of the ascended enlightenment,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that is worth like a minute of time. I
Mhm.
have worked with teachers or in groups where they are very focused on that enlightenment. And there are even, Buddhism, for example, is sort of all oriented around enlightenment and
Yeah.
sort of, moving vibrations up. And I don't want to discount or dishonor any of that energy because I feel like different people are at different points. And if that is the energy calling to you, that's amazing.
Mhm.
But I think we're just, where Christy and I, where our healing journeys have taken us over the past year or two, healing has felt like the opposite of a transcendent process. It has felt dirty and sticky and in the mud, and it has felt not like being an enlightened, glorified being. It felt like just being in the thick of, yeah, mud. And again, sort of coming back to those four elements and, our experience here on this earth, we're sort of, I would say it's almost less like we're trying to facilitate the enlightened experience, even though I think that is absolutely an experience and that could be done in parallel with the work we're doing in our circle, depending on where people are at, what different things they're working on. But I think, if I sort of think about some type of archetypal energy, like what we are trying to facilitate, it's almost more like giving birth,
Yeah.
where it is painful and it is messy, and
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's not like the mother gets to sit there in a gorgeous white dress with a halo. It's very visceral.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and painful and difficult, and yeah, you're going through it, and every bodily fluid is really involved, and
Yeah.
that's sort of, yeah, it it feels, for my journey, it sort of felt like to get to a place where enlightenment is, where I can focus on enlightenment. I feel
Mhm.
like I need to sort of embrace the messiness of that, the messy part of the healing
Yeah.
process.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and sometimes for me, it's felt like I was in a fight with one arm tied behind my back and like a swollen eye, and I was
Yeah.
kind of like doing this kind of thing. Like it wasn't pretty. I mean, there were
Mhm,
times where for the first time ever I was like, I know I'm going to be okay, but I'm not okay right now.
mhm,
And I've learned to say that. I used to not be able to say that. I was always that person that was like, I'm good. I'm fine. I never allowed myself to cry. Like for the longest time,
mm,
I would cry. I'd go, and that was
yeah,
it. Like, I mean, I didn't, and now I cry and I understand what that means, and I don't see it as weakness, and I see it as strength, and I see it as healing, and I see it as all of these things. And but it is, and I think it's really important to stress the safety of the group, like really being respectful, really being, you know, honest and vulnerable, but respecting privacy and everything else like that. Because
mhm,
there's been a lot of us. I know Todd and Ben, myself. I'm not sure who else is in here, but we all kind of came out of this um thing where it was like connection and all of this,
mm,
and then you would be looked at and then like just berated. And it's so important to know that this is not that. And I think even the word like connection or journaling could be traumatizing to some people.
mm,
And so it really is this, you know, um, building. It's really building um, this tribe. It's building a place where you can be seen and heard and vulnerable to the degree that you want to be vulnerable. Of course, we're not going to, pull teeth. But and it's why too it might not be for everybody, because if you're still working through some of that trauma of like I was connected and this is really hard,
mm,
it might not be right for you just yet. Or if you're um you know uh if you're still kind of like it's kind of like maybe let's say for example somebody's coming out of a cult, you don't just jump back into the next thing, like you have to sit with it, which is why too we really wanted this to be standalone modules but also build on
Mm,
each other, so it doesn't matter what point you come in, like you're not going to be behind. um and
mhm.
if you've been there from the beginning, you're not going to be more ahead than anybody else. It's just the point where you come in, you know, um, and
Yeah.
just really feeling safe. And I think, the first thing is just being able to feel safe. I feel like that's important too.
Yeah, and I think it's very important what you're calling out around the safety and people maybe having had bad experiences in other
Yeah.
communities. Um, you know, Christy and I are acting as moderators and facilitators and caretakers of this group. So if there are people who are bringing negative energy in, those people will be asked to leave. And again, this is one of the reasons why it's important for us to do this over Zoom in a more closed community, because we don't want this to be public to everybody. We want to deliberately be able to create and nurture a very safe space where
Yeah.
people, like Christy said, are able to be as vulnerable or not, as they feel comfortable with. And the goal is always to support each other, to send good energy to each other, to help each other's healing journeys. Not focused on where we've been, but focused on where each one of us is trying to go and supporting each other in that.
Yeah. Yeah, and and I feel like right now is such a good time because um all of the outer planets moved. There's a lot of change, there's a lot of shifts, there's a lot of energy we've never felt before. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a lot of people that are looking for healing, which, and, like I said earlier, we are going to introduce these topics on the channel. We're going to, kind of give it more in a conversation type form of like, oh, okay, this is how you can work with air, this is what it
Mm-hmm.
represents in the chart, like all of the things. So you're not going to miss out if you are not ready to delve into the healing circle. You aren't going to miss out on those healing opportunities, and it will be, very, very safe and, very much like Todd, okay, so um maybe it's a perfect time to show up and be like, hey, okay, uh I'm wanting to learn this. I'm going to sit back and listen and take it in and take notes and see, and those types of things. So again, we're talking a lot about the circle, but you're still going to get the benefits of that. This is really the
Mm-hmm.
direction that the channel is going this year, is healing. And what does that look like, and how to use these different things to to do that. And one thing that I liked, um because I love astrology and I'm learning so much, Karina and I, we intentionally thought too, let's integrate some planets into this and some astrology
Mm-hmm.
into it. And so, um, you know, I think that's beautiful because, again, with the healing circle, there's two different options you can choose from with it. But the one thing that it's going to be is that we're going to start off broad, but then we're going to bring it down to you. And we're going to bring it to a place of, okay, so, like, your this planet is in this house and this is what this could look like for you, that kind of thing. So it's not going to be so broad that you're like, well, how do I apply this? There is going to be some of those more specific applications. And because I know sometimes I need it to be broad because I need to figure out for myself how I need it to fit, but then sometimes I really, and I've done it, I've called Karina and I've been like, I need you to help me understand what is going on with the energy right now because I know it's something. So, there's going to be those opportunities too. So, it's going to be kind of like a, I don't know, I kind of envision it as a, like a diamond or something that's going to start out
Mm,
broad and then kind of come down. So there's going to be a lot of us in it, as well. You're definitely going to see that, but I think the reason that's important to us is because it's what has helped us and helped our understanding, and it might help you and it might help yours.
Yeah.
And I want to see what some of
Yeah,
these
I'm just
uh,
checking in on.
got
Yeah,
a
and it's
lot going.
interesting if there have been some big, really quick changes in people's lives. Again, the outer planets have shifted, probably something in your chart, Uranus, Pluto, one of those planets just kind of moved right on top of it. That would not surprise me. Um, but I think these also, the astrology, the movements of the planets provide catalysts for different
Yeah,
periods of life. And this really is a catalyst for change, which is hard for humans. We get stuck in our rut and we want to feel comfortable. And most of us at a pretty fundamental level are risk averse. And it is very hard to step outside of the comfort zone and try to do something different.
yeah.
And I like that view of sort of a broad
Mm-hmm.
topic set of tools, but then sort of narrowing it down and making it more personal. And we will be encouraging everyone to bring their own spin to it as well. If something that we are
Yeah.
talking about doesn't sound quite right, but you're like, well, if I tweak it a little bit, it can feel more me and feel more resonant.
Mhm.
We're not trying to give you rule books. We're trying to
Right.
give you inspirations, and
Yeah.
hopefully you can take it from there and tweak it and do whatever works. I think one thing that has felt very meaningful during my healing journey has been the level at which our intention and our desire to
Mhm.
create meaning,
Yeah.
that's the magic. The magic is not in the particular words that are said, the particular
Mhm.
ritual that is performed. It's much more if we are setting a strong intention around it and we are saying, this is for my healing, this is meaningful to me, and it's meaningful to my healing journey. Poof, it has
Right.
meaning. It is now not a random energy, it is now pointed in a direction. So
Yeah.
anything you find that makes it feel more yours, more resonant, something you can more easily set a clear intention around, that is what you need. You don't need exactly what we give you or exactly what anybody would give
Right.
you. You need what helps your intention.
Right. Right. And Karina and I are both so intention based, such intention based people. We're like, we need to set an intention. Like even this community, this channel, like I am not nearly as big. Scotty boy, I'm so glad you made it. Thank you for showing up. My channel is not as big as, some others' channels, but that's kind of the intention of it too. It's like
Mm-hmm.
we want you to find us and this when you're ready to find this. And that's why there's different levels. And to me, and Karina, I believe you too, different levels are important because we're not all at the same place. And what's most important I have found is to just meet people where they are, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And uh, now this is like a this is a churchy example, but go with me on it. It's like some people never get past John 3:16. Like that very first thing that
Mm.
you learn as like a little kid in church. Like for some people, that's really where they go. And some of this you might just be like, this is it. You know what? I'm really happy with what I've done, and that's amazing. And then you've got people like me that are like, let me just jump off the cliff and we're going to see what happens. And, that's not a good life plan either. Don't do that. But, you know, I think it's been so much more personally. Like you said, we've been talking about doing this since about the same
Mhm,
time as the tarot, and we
mhm,
did the tarot first, and it was easier. It was different. It was fun. but we knew like this means that, that means that. There's a few different
Mhm.
interpretations of it, but it's here. But now it's this very personal, like shared experience. And,
Yeah.
and we really want it to be beautiful. But, and, and we haven't even healed alone. Like, there's been times where
Mhm.
Karina has showed up for me. I've been like, oh my God, I really need some understanding right now, and I just don't think that we're meant to go through life alone or
Mhm.
in some obscure way. Like we're meant to go through it together. And I think we're all kind of walking each other home. We might, I
Mhm.
mean, we're definitely on different paths. They might be parallel, but we're all doing that. And I'm so excited um for this, you know.
Yeah, and coming all the way back as you were, Christy, to the community, it just feels like that's something that's so lacking in our modern world. We've
Yeah.
we've either abandoned the idea of community in many cases, or there are divisions within communities because there's fighting and whatever it's about, whether it's politics or whatever.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
fighting and division, and there's also just communities have been increasingly kind of replaced by social media. Some of that can be great. Obviously, we are on a social media platform right now, but you know what what a lot of these social media communities are really used for is a way for people to fling hate and judgment at each other behind the anonymity of a username, and that the algorithms kind of prioritize the most dramatic responses, and so all we kind of see is
Yeah.
a hate being flung back and forth, and it's nobody's happier for it. Nobody posts those comments on social media and is like, wow, I feel so great now. It's like that's coming from such a deeply hurt, unhealed place. But instead of having a safe space where they can work to heal that trauma, they're sort of lashing out. Um,
Right.
all of us have that inner child that when we're flooded and we don't know how to process something, we want to throw a tantrum. And
Mhm.
you know, we really wanted there to be a space where we can build a community that feels safe, that feels private for people, that supports this level of healing, the vulnerability to which people want to bring. um, and yeah, that sort of brings back the idea of old communities where everybody helped each other and lived near each other. And um, there's so much of that missing in our modern world. And if you look at the evolution of humans over the last several thousand years, we just didn't evolve alone. We really evolved in groups and
Mhm.
tribes of people. And yeah, so it's that we're trying to create.
Yes. Yes. And and I just can't say it enough that it's inclusive. Because again, a lot of what I've seen has been women only, very witchy,
Mhm.
like just not. And I'm a pretty witchy person, but if it's a little witchy for me, I'm like, oh, wow. So I think that that is a really nice. uh, These rented RVs are so funny because they have all of these different stickers, and this one had a sticker of a dog face like in the window, and I was like, "Oh, what a cute dog! Oh, it's a sticker." So with the laughter, yeah, and Scotty Boy says with the laughter to be shared. Yeah, because we all, and I love this so much. We are all teachers, and uh we are all students. Yeah, there are a lot of healing circles, Scotty, that I've seen that is women only. You can't come in if you're a guy, and they're really down on the patriarchy, and it just can be very uncomfortable, and that's not what we want either, because men have to heal as well. And by the way, um I'm gonna, because it just popped into my mind, and if I don't say it, I'm gonna forget it. I put up an a show that I did with Ben last year, and it's on men's
Mm,
emotion. And I took it down because of the other person that is in this particular um show, but it was such a good show and I was so proud of it that I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring this back for a couple of weeks. If you guys are guys and you're struggling with your emotions, go listen to what Ben, and I will say
mm.
who it is. It was Spanx Calhoun. So some of you know who that is and some of you don't. Get If you can get past that and just kind of listen to what is said, I think it's going to be really healing. And it was just such a beautiful show. It's probably, if I'm being honest, the show I am most proud of. Um, and I privatized it again because of a community, because of a situation. And I
Mm.
but I wanted to share it. So go give that some a look, because I think that that's helpful. And I think that men need to be supported as much as women, um, because they go through things just the same. Just because
And
you're
I
a
think,
guy doesn't mean you're exempt.
yeah, and I actually, this is something I feel strongly about. Um, I understand that the patriarchy has been in power for a long time, and there's a huge backlash against the patriarchy. And I understand that, and I support that.
Hmm.
However, the divine masculine is equally important as the divine feminine. And I feel like
Yeah,
if we backlash too hard against the patriarchy, we risk getting rid of all of the incredibly important and divine masculine energy. And
yeah,
all of us have both the divine feminine and the divine masculine within
yeah,
us. So by sort of throwing away the patriarchy, we're also throwing away an important part of ourselves. And again,
yeah,
thinking about healing and integration, um, we don't want to push a part of us out. We want to healthily integrate it so that we
yeah,
can take everything that is beautiful about the masculine energy, the desire to protect, to take care of, to defend the powerless. We want to take some of those young, masculine,
yeah,
traditionally masculine traits, but not the controlling and domineering, and we don't want to take those traits. And there's a shadow side of the
mhm,
feminine as well,
yeah.
that so we want to integrate the beautiful parts of all of the archetypes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I mean, I look at my husband and my brother and my dad when he was alive, my grandpa, um, men that I know, and they're so strong. And yet, there have been times that even my husband has come to me and just like word vomited everything, because he
Mhm.
he just had to get it out, and it was like all of these emotions and everything, and then I'm sitting there and I'm like, what's this? Like, okay, hold on. And then you have to step back, and I think it's really important. And like I said, it's why I'm most proud of this particular thing. I even I it there was some beautiful, beautiful points made in that. And one of the things that was said that stuck with me, um, it, it was Spanks who said it. He said, "Christy, have you ever, if you were to go to your friends and tell them how you were feeling, would they make fun of you for that? Would they make you feel bad for it?" And I was like, "Absolutely not." And
Mm.
he's like, "Mine did. Men do sometimes."
Mm.
And I was just in that moment, I was so shocked. And I was like, at this moment, and it's kind of, I mean, and it's why I do get a little like sassy about it. It's like I commit to every divine masculine, like masculine energy male, like to be a safe place for you, to not feel like I am going to make you feel worse, because I didn't even know that. And it was like, it hurt my heart in such a way that I was like, absolutely not, not on my watch. And that's why you will see me, you will start to see, if you watch, you'll kind of start to see that rise. And when there's something about when people start picking on guys, I'm like, absolutely not.
Mhm.
And but it's because of this. And like I said, it really is one of the things I'm most proud of. And then the next thing that I'm most proud of is my collaboration with Karina, but also this healing circle and what I hope it to be, you know? Yeah, Ben says, Christy Sassy? Yeah,
Never.
yeah.
Could not
Mhm.
be.
Um, let's see. Scotty said, I ran off total masculine energy my whole life. I've been working for over 12 years to understand feminine energy.
Mm,
It's all about balance. Yes. Yeah. And it really is. As women, we have to learn to balance our masculine. And as men,
mhm,
we've got to learn to accept and embrace that feminine. And it nothing hurts my heart more than seeing just because I don't see it as men and women as much as I see it as humans and souls and hearts and people.
mhm,
And to have one group of people say the other group of people is not allowed to feel some way because of something that they've got, I'm sorry, you know? And
mhm.
so it's and this too is why it's important. It's why it's important to have a safe community, you know? Um,
Yeah.
and I'm so passionate about it. And I'm going to stop now because otherwise I'm going to digress and go down like something I don't want to go down.
I feel like we've laid everything out. Everyone, please feel free to let us know if you have any questions about the group, or
Right.
if you aren't sure if you're ready. We can maybe give you some techniques to see if you're really getting a
Mhm.
whole
Mhm.
body yes from this or not.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I guess the only other thing I would say, hopefully this was fairly obvious over the last hour and a half, but so much of what Christy and I do on here is sort of, um, you know, information dumps, almost like
Yeah.
lectures, where
Yeah.
you all can sit and you weigh in the chat so beautifully. But it's more about taking information in,
Mhm.
and these. While there will definitely be some of that, and Christy and I will be facilitating specific
Mhm.
topics, specific tools, um, what each of you gets out of this is directly proportional to how much you act on this
Yeah.
information. So this isn't meant to be like an academic, oh, I know all the tools. We
Right.
would rather you use one of the tools than learn all of the tools and don't use any.
Right.
So
Right.
it's not that you couldn't sort of join this and just listen, to the tools and everything without doing the work. You could do that, but I
Mhm.
can tell you right now, you won't get very much out of it. This is
Right.
really meant
Right.
to be if you want to act, if you want to use this transformative energy in our world, in our cosmos right now to change.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, we're gonna touch on the kind of overall part of it here. So, if you're like, I'm ready to heal, but I'm not ready for this, you guys, you're still gonna get
Mhm.
us, you're still gonna get some of that. The only other thing that I think there is a link, and Ben, if you're here, if you could drop it again, it'll take you to Karina's site where you can read about it a little bit more and sign up. Um, it's it's a monthly subscription, so it's $15. And that also one thing that we forgot to mention, we're
Mm.
also going to be doing a Sabbath celebration. So we're going to celebrate the Sabbath. So Yule, Samhain, Lunasa, Mabon is coming up. All of the things that are there. So if you're part of the healing group, you're going to get into the Sabbath group as well, if that's something you would like to do. And that's just going to be a fun celebration of the harvest, of the times in the season, the equinoxes, where we're at. It's just going to be beautiful. Um,
Mhm.
then the next level is the $20 level, and then that is just where you get a, a card pull from Karina and I, at the end. So a little bit different
Sort of a
option.
personalization for each
Yes,
person that month, to sort of provide some guidance around
yes,
working with whatever tools
yeah,
we've been talking about.
yeah. And so I'm very excited. We wanted it to be, very, very, very like we're not trying to get your money.
No.
We just believe that when you put an investment in there, you are more likely to, be invested. So that's the only reason there's anything for that. But everything on the channel again is going to be free. So that
Mhm.
link been posted. You can go there and sign up. And if you're fragilely into this, kind of like if you're fragilely sober, if you're fragilely into this might not be the thing for you, but you will
Mhm.
definitely get help and support here on the channel. So,
Mhm.
if, like I said, if the healing circle isn't for you yet because you're not quite there, you will still get help and support here. And yeah, Scotty, an energy exchange. Yeah. And then
Mm.
and she didn't get to stay very long, but Amber with Amber Ascends, if Karina's ever not able to co-host, Amber's going to step in and co-host with me. She is also going to create specific guided meditations, short little guided meditations, um, for us. And so it's going to be great. And you know what, Todd? I would just be so honored if you showed up and just like to the YouTube channel and just hung out and like allowed us to help you on your healing journey that way. Because I know that when you're able to join, you will, and it's not about that, but it is about
Mhm.
being ready. But you still have a community and you still have a place where you are welcome to come show up and to be a part of it and to be a part of the conversation, because this is all still free and you're not
Mhm.
getting cheated or gypped. If you don't do this other thing, you're still
Mhm.
gonna get some really good guidance and help. So,
And I
I
think
want to give
maybe
you that.
just to double down on that, because I don't think we clearly stated this. It is so okay if this is not
Yeah,
right for you right now. It doesn't
yeah,
mean you are not an ascended enough spirit to do it. It does not, this is, it's very difficult to create something that can support everybody in all stages of everything. There are just
right,
like an infinite
right,
number of stages. So we've tried to outline what we feel like is the best, um, the people this will best be able to support right now. It is so okay if that's not you right now.
right, right,
Please
right,
allow yourself to be wherever you are. Listen to your body, listen to your energy. Um, this is not meant to be any kind of like, um, exclusionary club or
right,
something. It's
right,
just meant to be for people who are in this space where we can provide support. We would love to do that. But yes, please do not feel like if you are not here right now, you should be here. Please
right,
be where
right,
you are. Be
right,
where you are.
exactly.
That's all any of us, that's all that can be expected of any of us. Be where we are and try to move forward from there.
Right. And Todd, just being here and watching is supportive enough. Like that is all. I
Mhm.
am so thankful that you guys come in and hang out and chat with me and that you're here and you show up. That is really like that is so supportive of me. Guys, I will never be monetized. Even if I get a million followers, I'm not going to be monetized. I'm not doing super chats or any of that stuff because this is all about healing yourself, healing the community, rising up, and if there's ever any sort of anything attached to anything, it's again, it's not so that we are getting anything like that, from you. And I do want to say that I do have a dream journal. Did you get the car clean? Yeah. All right.
Mhm.
Michael, he's off work, so he went out. Uh, I did create a new dream journal. So that is going to be, I think I've got it all sorted out. So pay attention to uh, uh, how I'm going to release that, because I still kind of have to figure that part out. But it is to help you in your dreams, to help you understand the symbolism behind your dreams, the meaning behind your dreams, and helping that on your healing journey as well. So
Mhm.
I think that we rise by, hold on, uh, we rise by lifting others. Yes. Um,
Mm.
so awesome. All right. Well, I think, Karina, is there anything else that we didn't cover? I think we, we
I think we
covered.
covered it. I think we covered it. Thank you, everyone, so much for showing up, for all of your beautiful comments. So
Yes.
appreciative for all of you.
Yes. All right. Well, and so you guys, um, I the channel is going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I'm taking off Thursday, Friday, and then of course the weekends. So we're just gonna kind of do that. Again, check out the Men's Emotions with Ben if
Mm.
you did not get a chance to do that. I think you'll find it very helpful. And then there's also an interview with Ben that I put up there. It's beyond the it's Ben Turner, Beyond the Boat. It's getting to know him. We're going to be doing another interview with Ben to catch up with him and see where he's at now. So very, very exciting. We've got a lot of exciting stuff coming up for the channel. If you're not in the Facebook group yet, hop over there and join if you are on Facebook. I'm trying to plan out my month of September right now so that you guys know what's going on, so you can make sure to be there. Um, have you read some of my comments? I mean, you know. All right. So you guys, thank you so much. Uh, we'll drop the link in the comments. If it's for you, great. Come along. If it's not, don't worry. We're all still good. We're all still friends. You are still welcome here, and we are all still going to heal and grow together. And as we always say, go conquer your world as only you can. We'll be here to help you light the way. You guys have a great day. We'll see you next week.
When we come together, the storms we can weather. Don't let go of me. We'll get through this, you'll see. Like pictures from the past, we were meant to last. There's nothing we